That's the only way, just by doing it. That's the answer I've been searching for this whole time, being sure I can handle it. That's what matters. Not if the roadblocks appear again, but if you're sure of yourself that the roadblocks won't stop you. That's what matters. We are the architects of our own reality. Little broski, welcome back to the sand pit. I'm finally here after much toil and desperation and vehicle trouble. The last few weeks has been spent trying to get my vehicle roadworthy again and dealing with the stress of that and dealing with how I'm going to get to work each day. But on top of that, I haven't been able to get here, and I've also been more stressed because of it. So there's a lot to unpack here, but I'm not going to wallow in all those troubles, because now that I'm here, I'm here. Why worry about the past? Why worry about the future when I'm here trying to do something, when I'm here for a reason? And that reason is to get better. Suppose I could check in with how I feel. I have been feeling alone. The worst kind of alone, really. The kind of alone when you're seeing people, surrounded by people, but yet still alone. The vehicle troubles and the trying to make ends meet grind has been on my mind. It's been dragging me down. It's been making me feel overwhelmed. I need to work on staying grounded. I need to work on staying cool-headed when things are going wrong. Or a better way to put it, when challenges present themselves. Because we have to remember that challenges are opportunities for success. Challenges are opportunities for growth. And I understand this. For my part, I understand this. But it's hard to modernize it in the way of financial. Like, what if I don't have enough money to keep my home? What if I can't get to work? The list goes on, but things like that are hard to figure out how to tackle because it's kind of indirect, you know? The answer is kind of, if I had money. So, okay, let's make some money. How does one make money? By working at a job. But I have a job that takes up my waking hours along with a lot of mental energy because I'm still trying to detach from negative feelings. I'm trying to get my negative feelings under control. I'm trying to make sure that negative things don't knock me down and don't take up so much of my brain space. And so we're hit with anxiety, which is, what am I going to do about tomorrow? And it's always a valid question, but is it a good question? Is it a good question to ask? What am I going to do about tomorrow? Well, you can keep it in mind. You can certainly make plans. You can try to anticipate, but thinking too much about it won't get you anywhere. It'll set you back, in fact. Because then when things don't go as you planned, it throws you for a real loop. I know that firsthand because I used to think and think and think about stuff. Thinking, as long as I think about this for X amount of time, I'll be all set because I'll have thought of every single way this could go. Every single outcome. But spoiler alert, you can never figure out every single outcome of life for any situation. Expect the best, plan for the worst. Because expecting the best will help you have a positive attitude going into it. About people, believing the best in people so that you're not looking for their flaws, so that you're not looking for the bad. But plan for the worst means you're ready, you're adaptable for if things don't go exactly good. Which, as we've talked about, is life goes any which way it wants to. It's sporadic. That's nature. We talked about that last time. Nature is wild, and life is wild. It can go any which way. That's what makes it exciting, and that's what also makes it scary, if we let it be. But it also makes it hopeful. Because even if we're stuck in a rut, even if we think, there's no way out of this, well, life finds a way. Life can throw you some curveballs, but the curveballs will either go out or they might come back in. It might be a curveball that's good, something you didn't expect. And you have to be on the lookout for that stuff too. We're always looking for the bad. That's human nature. Looking for the bad, looking for the threats, because that's what helps us survive in actual nature, in the wild. But you have to remember to look for the good stuff too, and be ready to receive the good stuff. I had a problem with that for a while. I was always looking for the bad, always plotting for danger, and just something bad is going to happen, just expecting the worst. But then when people would actually be good, people would actually help, people would actually be good, good-natured, I almost wouldn't accept it. I'd be like, well, that's not possible. If they would try to help me out, I would say, no, I don't need that. I would reject the good that life had to give me. We have to make sure that we're not rejecting the good, because there's good and there's bad in life. And generally, what you look for is more so what you will get. I have been finding that to be so true. You know when you're having a bad day, and it's just like, no matter what you do, it's like things will just go wrong. Like if it could go wrong, it's like it's going to, it seems like. Well, a lot of the time we make our own reality with that one. Because on the good days, it's almost like everything's going right, isn't it? The people smile back, it seems like. Or the people will just smile at you before you even smile at them. They can tell you're having a good day almost. Isn't that strange? Maybe strange, but it's true. Whatever the reason behind it, it's crazy that we can almost make our day by our mood. That's what they say, wake up on the wrong side of the bed. It means you started the day in a bad mood. And that usually is a phrase for the rest of the day is not going to go so well. But when we're having a good day, it's like everything falls into place. Very strange to think about. Sobering to think about. We are the architects of our own reality. Now the real interesting thing is, if our day is dependent on our mood, if we can control our mood, we can control our day. Some people think controlling the mood is not possible. I think that's where waking up on the wrong side of the bed came from, the phrase. You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That caused you to be in a bad mood, and therefore your day is bad. So something caused you to feel that way. That's at least what the saying is implying. You're caused to feel that way, and so you do. And thus your day is bad. But what if you could control your mood, aka your emotions? And it's interesting to think about what that means, control your emotions, because I've heard it said that pushing down your emotions is bad. Stuffing your emotions away, saying, I don't feel bad, I feel good. It can be construed as toxic positivity almost. So is that bad or is that good? I feel like this is a multi-leveled skill that I'm trying to talk about in mood changing and mood controlling and all that. I think the answer, little broski, I think the answer lies in accepting where you are. Lies in accepting that you feel a certain way to begin with. Maybe you did wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe that did in fact suck. Let's call it like it is. Waking up on the wrong side of the bed sucks. We don't have to feel guilty about feeling like it sucks. Because it sucks. Doesn't matter if we view that as objective, subjective. For us, it sucks. But then there we are. We felt that way. We feel it. Then we can realize that it's simply an emotion and that it doesn't have to govern us as a whole. It doesn't define us. It doesn't mean that we are bad. We are guilty. We are fearful. We are grumpy. The emotion is there. Those things could be there. That doesn't define us because we are a being capable of many, many things, just like nature. We are a being from nature, and so we emulate nature in that we can be whatever we choose to be. But when we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, we try to fight it, don't we? We try to say, I'm still gonna get this stuff done, even though I'm pissed off. And then we try to stuff the feeling down. We try to say, I'm not mad, I'm not grumpy, I'm not pissed. I just am, I'm fine. I'm fine, it's gonna be fine, I'm gonna blow through this. We fight the emotion in our brain. We deny the emotion. We label it as bad. We label the emotion as bad rather than simply feeling the emotion. We can feel the emotions that come from waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Frustration comes to mind for me. Frustrated in my abilities, and I'm just spitting some common emotions that I feel when I'm having a bad day. Frustration is a huge one. That I can't get to where I want to get to. I can't accomplish what I want to accomplish because I'm weak. So I feel weak. I feel frustrated. I feel guilty because I can't accomplish. I feel pissed off. I feel afraid that I will never be anything. And then I'll die. And friends try to comfort me and say, but you are something. But what am I really? What defines my worth? Because I don't think I'm good enough as is. I always feel like I have to justify my worth with doing a bunch of things that people see. You know what's uncomfortable? Actual change. Actually knuckling down and saying, I'm going to be different today and for the rest of eternity. I'm going to change today. That's difficult. That's ugly. That's uncomfortable. And I can't do it. I'm too proud of who I think I am, of what people see right now, the small shred of dignity that I feel like I have left. I don't want to ruin that by being weird and trying to change. I wonder how many people tried to change in their life and other people called it a midlife crisis. You know what I mean? Because that's like common speak. I feel like maybe not so much anymore. Like we kind of joke these days that it's like an early life crisis, right? Like quarter life crisis or whatever. It's like it happens earlier in life because, you know, people are crazy now and excuse me, and society's bad. But, you know, midlife crisis is kind of like I guess that's an older term at this point, but, you know, people still use it. But midlife crisis, I wonder how many people were just trying to make a change in their life, trying to be different, trying to break the mold, but others looked at them and just were like, stop it, that's weird, that's cringe. You know, stop being weird, stop. You know, why are you suddenly like ice skating now? You know, what are you doing? That's cringe. Like, don't do that. And like, oh, we don't talk to Willie these days because he's going a little, you know, he's going through something, you know, a midlife crisis, and he's, you know, just let him, I guess, we'll just let him do whatever, but, you know, just talk to him, let him know that when he's done with that phase thing, we'll be here for him, you know. I wonder how many people are trying to change, and they just couldn't because of the people around them treated them like dirt. And I'm not saying that's like your surroundings define you, but I am realizing a lot lately, it's not like your surroundings and your environment have nothing to do with how you feel and with how effective you can be. Like, yes, you have more control and you shouldn't let circumstances get in the way of a goal. But at the same time, your surroundings can affect you. That's for sure. And I think in a lot of cases, in somebody in very, very bad surroundings, like prison or something, it almost turns into like a benefit for them because they can actually, it's so bad that it's like get out or die. You know, that's the mentality. For somebody like me, that's just never really hit rock bottom because I've always been supported by somebody else. It's almost like this slow burn of like just trying to motivate myself to realize that it's crunch time. And that's where that feeling of crisis comes from. I almost have to generate that feeling within my own brain. Because if I don't feel like the situation is dire, I'm just not going to change. But the situation is dire because time has passed. Time has went by and here I am wasting away. Here I am still afraid to talk to a freaking camera. Here I am just trying to organize my thoughts, trying to speak in an organized way, but judging myself every step of the way, and that gets in the way of how I think and how I speak, and I get in my own head and I can't speak. Ah! How do we break the mold, little broski? What do we do? Who are we? Who am I? Who do I want to be? I feel like I'm like 11 or something. Like I'm back at the crossroads of like, what do I want to do when I grow up? It's freaking pitiful. I need a clear vision of what I want to be. A clear vision, not some moving goalpost of like, I wish I was awesome, or some vague thing, you know. I need a clear vision. So how would we describe what we want to be, little broski? How would I describe what I want to be? Strong enough to handle any physical or mental challenge that comes my way, and able to assist others with their challenges. But is that too vague? How does one get there? By overcoming challenges? What challenges do I face right now? I don't make enough money to save money, so I need to make more money. Isn't that just a first world challenge of like, I gotta make more money? Like, it's just too vague. It's the trap. That's what everybody gets into. That's what, you gotta make your way to the top of the company. I gotta become the CEO and then my dreams will take off. No, that's a freaking lie. That's a recipe for being a wage slave for the rest of your life. I want to be financially independent. It's a big part of what I want to be. Oh, what don't I like about myself? I am unsure of literally everything. Even if I'm talking in definitive terms, even if I'm standing my ground in an argument, I still don't believe myself. I don't believe in me. I need self-esteem, which is gained by accomplishing things to feel that I am efficient in this world, overcoming obstacles and challenges to increase my mental toughness, to get stronger. And so the way to get more sure of yourself is by doing, by accomplishing, by achieving. But it's not about the achievements and accomplishments, it's just about the doing of them that makes you stronger. Like, sure, there are goals. Sure, there are markers, and those do well to serve you on, to give you something to aim at. It's good to set them high, but at the same time, it's good to remember that that is not, the goal is not the ultimate goal, if that makes any sense. The place that you end up at is not why you're doing what you're doing. The important part of what you're doing is the process, is the doing. For me, becoming stronger, yes, that's the goal. But that's to say, I want to become stronger. What's that going to do just to say that? Nothing, unless I right now do something to become stronger. And through that, continually, over and over and over again, that is how we gain self-esteem. That is how we figure out that we're actually able to do something. That is how we reassure ourselves that we are capable. For me, getting stronger and the kilt that I will eventually wear when I'm stronger, those are important. But not as important as what I'm going to do right now. That's the most important thing. And right now my mind is spinning around in circles, as you might have been able to tell. That I'm anxious about this, I'm anxious about that. I want to be better now. I want to not have so much anxiety. I want it to just be taken away from me. I learned a trick on this anxiety. It's called responsibility transference. I believe something transference. Responsibility transference? I think so. Responsibility transfer is a meditative practice. It's about taking the thing that you're anxious about, or the thing that you are worried about, or whatever's wrong at the moment. You take it and you give it to something other than yourself. Whether that's a greater power, the universe, just not you, some other entity, whatever. And I tried it once and it was pretty good. I'm going to try it again right now. So what you're doing in this exercise is taking a deep breath in to the top of your head and then out. And inhale, the breath goes to the top of your head. Visualize it going to the top of your head. And then when you exhale, it's your worries and your anxieties and everything that's within you, the tension, out. You do a few of those breaths. Then you're going to visualize and feel the weight, the weight being lifted off your shoulders from whatever weight that is weighing on you mentally. Visualize it, feel it lifting off your shoulders and onto the shoulders of a greater entity. God, the universe, whatever you believe. If you have a belief that things are going to work out, that you will be okay in the end, then there's a way you can do this. Just take that weight, the anxiety, whatever you've been feeling, whatever you're stressed about, visualize it being lifted like air off your shoulders. You feel air off your shoulders. And then onto the universe, onto God, onto whatever it is you believe that makes things work in this world. Whatever it is that causes to exist. Believe that that will not let you down because it hasn't in the past. There is a prayer that they recite often in the 12-step programs like Alcoholics Anonymous to get people over addictions and all that. And that is, grant me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the power to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. So what we're talking about is the first part of that prayer. To accept the things you cannot change. And that exercise is just realizing that there is always an element that is going to be out of your reach. You're going to do your best, but there's always an element that's a little bit, not to chance, although that's a part of it, but there's always an element that is not controlled by you. Sometimes a lot, sometimes a little. So I've definitely spent enough time thinking today, going around in circles and being anxious. Done an exercise that takes the edge off a little bit. But the point of being out here is to get stronger. And we've been thinking about important things, but at the same time, thinking is not the only thing you should do. And I've had a lot of time to think. That's the thing. These past few weeks have been spent in anxiety and depression. So I've done plenty of thinking, and now I'm out here and I'm thinking, what's it gonna do, all this thinking? I'm thinking about it. That's the irony of the whole thing. It's just the ego tricks itself into thinking that thinking is the answer to your problems. It's not gonna solve anything. Even if I was to figure out exactly how my brain works or something, it's still not gonna change the fact that I need to do something right now to get stronger. I need physical activity and I need consistency. I said that at the beginning. No more thinking, man. No more thinking. Let's get down to business. Whoa. That would have been bad, huh? Slip and hit my head on this rock. No more thinking. Who needs a kettlebell when you got rocks? Little broski, the camera overheated and I didn't realize it when I was in the middle of doing stuff, but that's okay. Listen, I had an epiphany right after I stopped moving. The thing is, it doesn't matter how you think you're doing, how you think things are going. It doesn't matter. That stuff does not matter, how you think you're doing, because it's subjective. It's just according to your perspective, how you're doing. That's what gets in the way so much. That's what it got in the way so long for me. I kept thinking, oh, it was either like fooling myself into, you know, I'm doing pretty good. It's fine that I'm inactive, and it's fine that I'm, not getting out of the house much, and I still got fight in me. I'm still good. And then there was other days when I would be like, oh no, I'm a waste of space, and I'm a worm. Look at me, I'm nothing. And it would just vacillate between the two, but it would never actually do anything. Both cases are not, like, they won't accomplish anything, because especially pretending that I'm still awesome, pretending that I'm still, like, it doesn't matter that I'm not active or whatever. What matters is actually the facts. How much activity do I need? What do I need to do? That stuff matters, not how I feel about myself, not how I feel about the activities, not how I feel about what I need to do, not how I feel about how I feel. These feelings get in the way because they are a judgment. And I find myself always judging that there's something wrong. I'm always like, I'm in crisis mode all the time. And on the one hand, it kind of spurs me to action, I guess, after all these years, but it took years. So I don't think that's what's needed. What I think is needed is looking at everything with a level head and making sure that when you're looking at everything, you're cool about it. You're being as objective as possible, not subjective, not having opinions about, I think this is a fine thing, and I think this is a bad thing, and I think this is There are just things. There are things you know you need to do, and there are things you know you should stay away from. It's as simple as that. But to have opinions about all those things, I suppose if they were what you might call the correct opinions. But the correct opinions would only happen if you were on the right track in the first place. That's why it's so easy to spiral upwards when you're on the right track. When it's become a habit to do the good things, to exercise, to eat healthy, all those things. When those things have finally become a habit, then you feel good about those things. And it's funny how that works, because you feel good about them after. Your opinion of them changes, and you're actually kind of looking forward to them because they become the norm. So your opinion about them changes afterwards. So if you're expecting your opinion about those things, working out, eating healthy, getting out, socializing, stretching yourself to try to reach for things that make you a little bit uncomfortable in order to try to get stronger. If you're waiting to try to just feel good about those things and be like, someday I'm going to be in a place where I'm going to love those things so much that I'm going to do them. That doesn't just happen. That doesn't just appear. You don't just fool yourself one day into thinking that, you want to know the way you fool yourself into actually doing that, into thinking that way, is just by doing it. That's the only way, just by doing it. That's the answer I've been searching for this whole time. That's what I've been trying to articulate into words this whole time. Thinking, it can only do so much, but we treat it as the answer to everything. We treat it as if we can think our way out of everything. But when you think about the word way, the way, I found the way to go. The way to go. You still have to go on the way. The way you find the way is by going. If you are stationary, you can't see from your limited perspective. When you stay in the same spot, your perspective will always stay the same. And you won't learn anything. You'll be thinking with the same old train of thought that might not serve you anymore. You got to get out there. We have got to get out there. And what a fitting realization to come to after doing physical activity, that the way is action. Because right now I'm reading a book called The Obstacle Becomes the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's a feel-good book for sure. It's about Stoicism. The Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, all those jolly fellows. And they really emphasized that staying cool-headed when making decisions and going forward, viewing things objectively, is so important. And so you can see a modern example. First I read the book. So I'm about halfway through right now, right? I read the book and I have this knowledge. And I'm just thinking about it and I'm like, well, why can't I be like that? Why can't I change? What this is describing is obviously not me. This is Epictetus. This is Marcus Aurelius. I'm not Marcus Aurelius. I'm not an emperor philosopher yet. And so I read, and now I go out here and I have some time to think, mull it over, directed thinking about the subject, rather than just like a passive on the side, mind spinning, I suck kind of thinking. And then I do some physical things. We work out a little bit, we pump some iron, we throw some rocks, do some squats, do some kicks, and we stop thinking about it for a little bit. But we put ourselves into action to see that we are capable of action. That's why we're putting ourselves to action. And so we do some things. And suddenly the things that we learned become real, become within our grasp. Because suddenly we are capable, we realize. We're not just a fragile little being that's just laying there stuck in a tomb. We're able to reach out. We're able to go. We're able to journey. We're able to move. We're able to push. We're able to stretch. We're able to love. And as I knew from the beginning, the missing ingredient mainly for me is the physical. The getting out here and the doing. I got plenty of time to think at home. And for the most part, it doesn't really get me places. We live in an age of information overload. And we think that thinking is the answer. We think that taking on all this information is the answer. And not only is the information that we are getting possibly wrong, but without application, do we really know? Do we have wisdom? I learned this firsthand when I think about working on my vehicles, because I do my own work for my vehicles, and I'm currently doing my own work for my vehicle right now. It's never as simple as it seems in the video. If you want to find out real fast that knowledge, wisdom is truly learned by knowing and then also doing with experience, work on your own car. You can read a book, you can watch a video, you can look at the new part you have, you can look at a schematic, it doesn't matter. When you do it, that's when you are actually learning it. And little broski, let's have a moment of gratitude. Moment of gratitude for today. Could have been a day just like any other day. Could have been a day where I didn't come out here. Could have been a day where I said, it's been a little bit since I did one of those videos and went to the sand pits. Might as well just be another week. But that didn't happen. I'm here. Rejoice. Rejoice with me, little broski. You know what? That was stifled. I am stifled. And I asked the question earlier, what are some things I don't like about myself? That is one of the biggest things, is that I'm stifled. And I think I can change it. I'm on the verge of changing it. I just have to do it. I just have to release a little bit more. When I talk, I have to not hold back my feelings when appropriate. But my current view of feelings right now is that they are never appropriate. Speaking in social terms, of course, like I'm talking to a camera right now, but if I was talking to an actual person to person, my conversation is getting better. But little broski, check this out. Look at this. Ticks, little broski. One of the creepiest crawlies that ever crawled. They are horrendous this year. There's so many ticks. And this area right here that I have to walk through when I go to the sand pits. I usually find about 3-4 on me. Sorry, little broski, I was just interrupted by some dirt bikes. You might be able to hear them right now. But they drove right by me, so they were really loud. I wasn't going to expose you to that. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm very stifled when I speak, when I express myself. Unless we're talking about music. I'm a musician. When I play music live or recording, that's when my feelings really come out. That's when I can express. Other than that, it's hard. Conversation and one-on-one, I don't want to expose myself that way. But I'm so close to getting better, I feel like, at it. One of my main fears is that I'm afraid to take up space. I'm afraid to be loud at all. I'm afraid to make my voice heard. And so things I want to say usually come out kind of like half volume. Sometimes I'm too quiet. Other times I try to double down on it and I'm too loud. But it seems forced, you know? Whatever the case, we figured out today, among other days, that the answer is doing. So we thought about it a little bit. Now we're conscious of it. So now we can put it into practice. What can we do about it? We can be louder. We can talk without fear. We can make our feelings known. We can say hello without being stuck in our heads. That's the danger. Being stuck in my own head. Overanalyzing every little thing so that I miss the actual point of doing. Because conversation is a really tough thing to do that in. To actually put things into practice. Because within conversation, you're trying to put things into action, but you're also trying to articulate what you're trying to say. And so the brain is engaged no matter what. Unlike what I was doing in the sandpit of physical activity. It's not that you turn your brain off completely, but you're not necessarily thinking, spiraling in a negative way. But when you're in conversation, it's very easy for the brain to just go automatic back to the things you always do, the habits you always have. It's going to take extra effort. You know what that means? It's a challenge, a real challenge. And it's one of those challenges that takes place in everyday life. It's homework for me. It's not really going to get better in this sandpit. I mean, this sandpit has its uses, for my uses, you know? Getting stronger, it's worth it, physically, mentally. But for the conversation, social dynamics, this is not the gym for it. And that's kind of cool, because it's kind of like the whole world can be a gym. You can always be getting stronger. It's not just for certain days of the week. An interesting thought. Regardless, this is where the sandpit ends today. Little broski, thanks for joining me again. I am so grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this day of life. And I think there's a lot to unpack here that I still haven't really unpacked fully. There's a lot of emotions within me. There's a lot of feelings. I think it's safe to accept, maybe I'll accept right now, that depression may come back. But that's okay. That's part of acceptance. Accepting that I can handle it. Being sure I can handle it. Yes, that's what matters. Not if the roadblocks appear again, but if you're sure of yourself that the roadblocks won't stop you. That's what matters. Little broski, thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Peace out.